Always checking things out. See if we can get some audio here. See if we can get some audio. See what happens. See if the old YouTubes will work out of the gate for us today. Nice, nice. I like the live stream working right off the top. Now let's see if we can get CouchBot to fire, and then we can let this thing leave the station. Hope you're doing well where you are. Got a busy morning. Not completely surprising to be honest with you. Most Monday mornings as of late have been pretty full. Got 4 students in here, 5 if you count Maddie, although I told Maddie I'd handle her feedback offline because it is a little when you're in that moment where you're looking around at different opportunities, I always think it's really key to keep that kind of under wraps, because you're doing the research. I don't want to necessarily tip somebody off to the position you're looking at if you haven't fully invested in that. And you know, each position is unique to the person. So a job that you're looking at isn't necessarily a job that's right for somebody else, and vice versa. So we're having some of those job-related conversations offline. But we've got Maddie in here, technically. But we've got others as well. And because CouchBot's fired, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't just leave the station here. So, greetings one and all. Chris Courtney here, new Pragmatics. Time for the feedback loop. We've got a busy feedback loop today. We've got Bryn is in here with type. Eve has her first affinity map out in the open wild. She's working on a project for one of her. She's working on one of her side projects with a team. Abby is in here as well. She has personas and user stories for her Fresh Market project. And then Eddie is here. He is setting up his preliminary user interviews for his education project. So everybody very busy this morning. Also, I want to come in here and share my screen just so we can get eyes on. We also released this thing over the weekend. CSS typography is out now. In this exercise, I show you how to import custom fonts. We talk about property values for typography. Go into how to utilize fallbacks. It's pretty big key. We talk a lot about sizing and how to utilize size specifically to make your projects accessible. We also talk about things like line height, as you can see, line height and line. These are the subtleties that are inside of typography, like line height and letter spacing. As you can see, so some letter spacing works less well than others. And then there are a series of exercises here as well. So I just wanted to make you aware that we've got a lot of information now on CSS typography, a battery of exercises as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing students working through that material. Also, yeah, speaking of typography, Bryn is in the middle of her typographical projects. She is in Type 201. Which this is all Figma based. So the CSS type and the Figma type exercises are different, but many of them, you know, what you're learning in Figma with typography, you can apply it right to the CSS that you'll be working on later. So let's go ahead and hop over to Figma and take a look at her type specimen. So one thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and hide my guides here. And let's go ahead and take a peek here. So this is the specimen, and the first specimen here is IBM Plex. It's just the example um, things that we're looking for. I'm not sure why everybody tends to like skew away from the study of the well, not everybody, but this second specimen is really important because it allows you to see like how does this work in larger bodies of type. Not everybody, but a lot of people just do this first one. So a couple things that I'll say right away is Open Sans. It's a nice font. Nothing wrong with that. Try Wrong. It's okay. It's, I do like I like the little swashes that it has here. Um, it's interesting how the cap height and the overall height of the character itself it's basically equal. A lot of typography, the cap height and the ascender height here, it's not equal. So it's interesting to see one where it is pretty much equal. Poppins here, you can see it. So it has like a cap height on the F is larger than not the cap height on the F, but the ascender height on the F here is larger than the cap height on the S, but the K is kind of in between. So it's a little interesting. Merriweather here, it looks like you might have forgotten to adjust that. Not sure. Maybe that was copied over from. Well, no, it just doesn't look like it was adjusted. And then when you come down here to the typography, as far as looking at how it, the weights, obviously, Try Wrong here has a ton of weights available to it. You don't need all of those, but I am happy to see like everything that you're utilizing has enough weights, it has italics, it has some variety in the weights, so that you have the option to use the typography in a few different arrangements. And why that's important is, so many times we don't think about, okay, what are the edge cases? Am I going to make any references to literary books or websites, or am I going to utilize this to in a way that I'm going to cite the names of people? Do I have the ability to go up or down in terms of weight of the typography? A lot of people I see, I've seen it in the past, they've locked in on something that has like one weight, and those are fine, I guess, but they're not they're not the type of fonts that you want to build a product around. What you have here, any of the four would work. Some, and then past that, it comes down to taste. Okay, these all, when you look at all of these, none of these are really too condensed, which means that they could work. And we talked in an earlier assignment about, could this work as a headline? Could this work as body copy? Could this work as a label? And in each case, each of them could do all of those jobs. So again, what you have available to you is the ability to determine, how do I want to use this? And as you can see here, when you overlap these, the structure of the typography, while Merriweather is a bit wider, it's still pretty close. So these will pair well together. And let's go ahead and hop over to exercise 2 and just see what you have here. So in your application of type, and again, so you've been given this copy, and one thing you want to look out for is like on elements like this headline is a label, so you want to rip that out. Also, and this is particularly important. This will drive you nuts later. These little tick marks, okay? That is I want to say it's Shift Option close bracket. There you go. That's the difference. So when you see that tick mark, go ahead and make that adjustment. Tick mark, that's, you can actually hear it you can make the apostrophe that way, or you can just use the apostrophe there. I'm not sure why it struggles sometimes. But anyway, I use shift option close bracket to get those in there. But just look out for the things where you need to trim away those extra bits. Here, reset podcast. This line height here is a bit tight, and I know firsthand. I talk about line height and how it can be tighter. But the moment that you have a descender in here, that's going to bust. Okay, and I mention that because we very rarely will have complete control over these type styles when we're working digitally. A lot of times information is being piped in, and we're gonna. So this is really just a little too tight. What I would suggest doing here, you get the line height set to 20. It's 24 set on 20. I might say 100%. That's basically saying 24 on 24. Now when you come back with the Q, it still runs into itself, but it's not quite as bad. But I think you definitely want more space than that. Also, you have all of the space to work with. Like this if you came out, like you've got all this space. Like we can make this go wider. I would at least consider using this like this wide. It's basically half. Maybe there's an image over here or something. Understand that this exercise, you're given space and you're not quite sure what to do with it. But the number one thing out of all this, like I like the contrast that you have here. This may be a tad big, but it's also a button. Like it says button, Poppins button. This is when you see button, that just naturally means okay. So this has got to go in something else that's going to act as a target for that thing. Okay, so the good news is the style that you came up with for that works fine for a button, but well, I'll let you go through it and figure out how you want to orient that. Let's take a look over here. So this is like a restaurant listing. It's in all of these other cubes. Without seeing what the cubes look like, I'm asking you to stylize the information presented. The good news here is that the label and the typography, like this all works fine. It doesn't get too fussy. These aren't like different sizes. You've got a button here. Again, this could probably have a box around it or something, giving it more of a target. It looks like, now that I'm kind of working through this, it looks like you mainly struggled over here where type got tight. And the question here is, okay, so this is a card listing mobile. It's a mobile frame, but you're trying to center it up. I want you to imagine your Android device, or imagine your iPhone, and all the typography is just centered on the screen, and you're just scrolling through a list. It would never work like that. Typically speaking, when we are in these environments, the typography is, and I'm just going to copy this over. Let's take a look at it. And here, one of the big problems you've got is these are all individual boxes. So you're probably kind of struggling through working with this maybe for the first time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to come through and organize this information. And I want to try to take advantage of the space that I have. Like this is the thing about this this arrangement is, I've got all of this, I'm using only like half the space. Okay. And if I simply migrate one of these items up, and maybe I align it here, maybe I align it down here. Wherever I align this, this is now taking and making better use of the space than we had before. And let's take a look at that. Let's just bring it down here. So really, if we look at the space, we've got like all of the space to work with, and we weren't really utilizing this previously. And I gotta figure out why. But the big question is, what happens when I don't have something that's short, like Taco John? What about Taco John and Sons? Taco John and Sons works all right, but Taco John and Sons, and this is quite common here, number 2, because they didn't want to start a new LLC. Then it's running over. So the question here is, do I really, is 24 really what I need here, or is 20 the more like something that's going to work and be more flexible? These are the decisions that we need to think about, because this data can be variable. This data is going to change. In the next assignments, what you're going to find is that the data is going to move around on you. I'm curious, what size is it here? Oh, well, I mean, it's the same size. It says 20. Or did, I changed that, didn't I? Yeah, that was 24 before. Got it. Well, and that's one reason why you should really utilize styles, which I'm glad to see that you know how to create. But I would take another stab at this. I'm going to delete this away because I don't want to steer you that direction. But I would definitely take another stab at this, and know that this is a different design. It's not uncommon for the typographical display to grow and shrink in size, dependent on the space available on screen. So let's take another stab at this. I also would like you to take another stab at this over here, because again, here we have a lot more space to work with, and we're not really doing much with it. Okay. All right. With that said, let's go over here to Chronic Coders and Eve's affinity mapping canvas. I looked over these observations earlier, kind of reading through, and this is the quintessential. I've got a bit of information here. I need to find the topics that are present. So here she's the topic sheet. So if this is a writing app, these are the sources. App use, goal, workflow, citation, ease of use. There were roadblocks, writing types, and interest. And then the themes that boiled out of this are there's situational use, scheduling, motivation, fatigue, and fears. Like, those are the things that kept coming up through the conversation. So I think that where you ended up, Eve, with the highest priority is to show progress, making it easier to add for this thing to be motivating, and then letting users know when the best time to write is. Like, when are they consistently writing? That would be a really cool thing. It's kind of like sleep patterns. Like, here is when we find you to be the most creative, based on when you're going back and doing this activity. That's really smart. Show motivational quotes or encourage a message to user. If user is writing outside of the usual writing time. Show suggested articles based on the user's selected topics of interest. That could be like research. Here's research for your upcoming writing. And then add a collaboration feature to make it easy for others to comment or give feedback. Um, I think the suggested articles is really smart, but your priority up here, that's really bright stuff. Any sort of writing app that's supposed to help me write, um, helping me track progress and like being that positive reinforcement thing is great. But also like, you know, here's how much time you're writing, here's when you're writing. Um, you know, if it might help point out for people something they don't necessarily realize without an application pointing it out, which is you tend to write early in the morning, midday, late at night. You tend to write for 47 minutes, 12 minutes, 2 hours. Um, I think that's really helpful information. I think your priority canvas here has come together really well. And then here are your action items. Let let user know based on their habits when their best times to write are. Show the writing streak to show progress and add motivation. Show me add collaboration feature. Yeah, okay, so this is just taking. I was wondering, like, these sound really familiar. It's because these are just these in the same order. So, or in the same progression. I think this is fine. The big thing here is not necessarily where you ended up, but how you got there. And you went through, you took your observations, broke them into topics, got them into themes, and then you set your canvas. That's perfect execution. And that's what I want to see at this point. Like, we've worked through that before. Now it's what I'm looking for is, can you do it on your own without me hovering? All right, and it's pretty clear you can. So congratulations, Eve. You've cleared affinity mapping. Godspeed. Take that back to your team and begin sharing. So Abby is working through her personas, and Abby's got Abby's in Fresh Market, and one of the things that I wanted to say, Abby, is you were talking about secondary roles. You had questions about the secondary roles, and the secondary roles are other people that are impacted by what these individuals are doing. And like one in particular was you had Christian here, and Christian is the grad student. Well, one thing that's interesting about Christian is that he and his roommates share cooking duties. So the secondary person here that might be impacted by his choices with a food meal preparation kit would be the roommates that he's cooking for. Like, do they have particular needs that could be addressed? Would they be ordering as a group? He has roommates? Is this something where you might try to incentivize him to talk them into also signing up for the service? Like, that's the kind of secondary role I'm looking at. Same thing over here with the pharmacist, Kat. She's doing a lot carrying her meals to work. Is there, what happens when, what's the interaction with a coworker when her coworker says, "Ooh, what's that? That smells good." What do we do to incentivize Kat to share with that coworker what she's got, what she knows? Is there a plan to like give out codes or encourage meal sharing? Like, what's that messaging? You've got to plant that seed with these users to help grow your product, and that's what we were talking about when we're looking at secondary. So financial boundaries here. She's not stressed about budget. Got to eat. Price is fair for what you get. So she's just looking for something that's fair. Works inconsistent hours each week. Unpredictable call-in times. Relies heavily on her phone to stay connected. So her problem is, I don't know when I'm going to be available because my work is crazy. Her goals are to learn to cook after 5 years of eating mac and cheese. She wants nicer meat, fish, ingredients than she'd otherwise buy for herself at the store. So she wants somebody to upscale her. Have ready to make meals that are still healthy makes time management easier. So I want somebody to plan this for me so that I can just go do it. I want to learn, but you got to put it in front of me. Like, make this easier for me to do. Otherwise, I'm just going to make the mac and cheese. So I'm like getting a really good sense of Kat and her motivations. Wants meal plans to offer more lunch options, to change up the same boring meals. Ordering window too far out for a delivery date, so she wants it like, I want to order it and I want to get it this week. I want to get it tomorrow. I want to get it today. App not available, so she has to go onto the website to order. Here with Christian, Christian is paying $75 a week for groceries. He wants something similar for the subscription, or he wants similar price points. So he doesn't necessarily want to spend all $75 with the meal subscription, but he wants to get something close to the same value. Gets bigger serving because it's cheaper, saves seconds for leftovers. So he's going to carry leftovers at school because he's a grad student. Totally get it. Cook more to save money. Also plan out meals for the week. Keep meal planning simpler. Food all from one source. Use time wisely to avoid store and use time for studying. So he doesn't want to go to the store. He's trying to, like, can you keep me from wasting this time of going to the store? He's concerned with allergies. He doesn't have a big kitchen. He doesn't have the ability to prep a lot. And he is concerned with eco-friendly packaging. So these are really good personas. I get a really good sense of who these people are, even though they are, composites. Let's come back over here and take a look at your. So we've talked about scenarios. You've got user stories up here. Let's take a look at your user stories. That is one thing I did not open yet. Okay, so you're working pharmacist. So this is your user. Okay, that's fine. Needs the ability to quickly order meals day of, so that I can have lunch, dinner ready on the fly. Access past orders so I can reorder meals I liked. Ability to rate my meals so I can reference past meals. Ability to see ingredients so I can recreate previous orders. Need a working app so I can order on the go. She really wants it to be on her phone. Need the ability to contact live help so I can get my order fixed when it is wrong. I want to have the option to pick up or delivery. So this may be like the flex point. It isn't that I need the meals delivered to me. It may be and that's something that we've actually heard of in the past, where people have said, "Hey, listen, I want the meal prep. I want to save that time, but if I could just get it, if I could place my order and get it this afternoon or get it tomorrow, not wait 2 weeks out into the future, I would trade driving by and picking it up." So there is that convenience flex of, I'll still come pick it up so long as I don't have to make it, and if I could get it today. Most of these meal subscription plans, you gotta say 2 weeks from now I want X sent to me, and it's just, that's a big buffer. A lot of people don't like it. I want multiple ordering options so I can order anytime, anywhere. I want to learn new food ideas so I can create my own recipes. I want a choice in portion sizes so I can control calorie count. Okay. All right. So, and then let's come down here to student intern. And this might be a spot where putting these on separate sheets, just coming down here and saying duplicate, and then you have, you could just name the sheet student or intern, and that would give you a sense of what you needed, or they would give you a sense of the personas that you were really trying to solve for. Ability to edit ingredients, so I can fluctuate my own pricing. Need access to ingredients and allergies, so I can avoid meals for certain allergies. I need to edit orders, so I can update my order if I send in something wrong. I want ready-to-eat meals, so I can eat quickly and timely. I need the ability to access tech support, so I can order when needed. I don't know necessarily what that means. I need the ability to access tech support, so I can order when needed. It sounds like I need to be able to get online and click the button. I don't necessarily. If they need to access tech support, that's a real problem. Like, the product is broken at that point, because tech support should be like, oh, your credit card was misused, or your credit card has been declined, or you've lost your password, not what meal would you like to order. I want a rewards program so I can earn free meals for loyalty. I want options for packaging. I want meal suggestions. So one of the things to think about here is, I need to edit my orders. So where would that live at in the interface? So I want to edit my orders. I need to expand on this, because the ability to edit orders means that orders need to live somewhere. Where would orders live? Orders would live on the My Orders page. Okay, so I need a My Orders page so that I can easily access prior orders, so that I can then edit them or reorder. Okay, so now the next obvious question. Where would the My Orders page live? I need a profile page. And on the profile page, I should be able to access my previous orders. Like, I need you to think about, for this to exist, what else do I need? And that's the big question to ask. For the rewards program to exist, where would that live at? And we need to begin mapping out where these things are. And I would say that needs to happen in the user stories. You shouldn't wait to user flows to begin to try to figure out where these things live. I want the ability to edit ingredients. Okay, so where would I make those customizations? And it's a customization, so I need the ability to customize my meals, okay, so that I can edit my ingredients. And it says fluctuate my own pricing, but that's like further downstream. I want to edit my meals so that I can edit the ingredients. I want to edit the ingredients so I can fluctuate my own pricing. But if I'm editing the meals, where does that meal live at? Is it on a meal page? Is it on a meal directory? Like, where do these things live? That's what I've got a lot of bitsy pieces right now, but I don't know where any of them live. So much like we talked about in schools, we now need to drill down on these. For this to exist, what else do I need? Okay? So your personas, solid. User stories, we need to expand on these. Okay? And specifically, we need to know where they live. All right. Eddie, wanted to talk to you for just a second with regard to not that, but your Calendly. Okay. So right now, there's two things I want to point out. You don't have web conferencing details attached. This is where you want to go in. You want to have that Zoom link, something like confirm. When you confirm with them, a link to how you prefer to connect with them needs to be in here. Whether it's Google Meet, Zoom, whatever it is, that needs to be in here. That's one. Two, when we go back and we look at this on the calendar, all right? Right now, the way you have your calendar set up, somebody can schedule a user interview with you on Saturday the 19th. That's not going to work, because what that means is when you get in here and you send it out, you ask the 3 people, you ask the 5 people, can you meet? If you leave that window too wide, it's going to bloat the amount of time this portion of the project is going to take. Okay, so I need you to constrain that. And what I typically do here when I'm using it is I set it for 3 rolling days, which means if I send this out today, it will be available for the 7th, 8th, and 9th. If they open it on Tuesday, it will be available for the 8th, 9th, and 10th. Okay? 3 rolling days. That's basically, can you meet within the next 72 hours of whenever you open it? All right? Now, does that stop them from opening it on the 17th and trying to book time with you on the 19th? No, but if they don't open it you send it today and they don't open it by the 9th, the likelihood that they're going to open it is very low. Okay? So I'm trying to protect your time here. Use rolling days, set the number of rolling days wherever you created this schedule. If you go into the advanced options, there'll be the ability to change it to rolling days. And right now, I'm also concerned with, it looks like your schedule has limited it down to meeting for a certain period of hours each night, which again is fine, but you want to set this up for, can you meet within the next 3 rolling days? Okay. All right. And then from there, you had your questions, and I just, looking through them broadly, and again, you've got this, it looks longer than it really is, because it's 3 different types of interviews that you could be, 3 different types of people you could be talking to. But for the teachers, you want to introduce yourself, you want to make sure they understand what they're signing up for. I would also encourage you to ask if you can record the session, just to be on the up and up with them. Remind them it's for educational purposes only, and you're not gonna like share this with anybody else. It's just for your purposes doing research. You would do that even if it wasn't for educational purposes. Hey, this is just for our internal use, so we can come back and take notes. Tell me a bit about your current role. Who do you teach? What age group? Subject? How long you've been teaching? How many students? Class size? Do you have any alternative students? Even odd days? So this all makes sense. You're gonna, it's on them you're asking about them as an individual, what they do. When do you normally first use the internet for school on a typical day? In your opinion, how tech savvy would you say you are? What are some of the apps, websites you use most to prepare for your week? What's been your biggest pain point professionally? Do you feel like you've been given the tools to properly perform your job? Why not? Tell me about different workarounds. So you're like, what are you doing to get around this thing? Has COVID-19 affected other areas of your life professionally? Have these issues transitioned to other areas of your life personally? You will get some pushback on that. Well, what do you mean? So be prepared for that. What's the hardest part about teaching during the pandemic? Which part were you surprised? I might reword this and to say instead of which part, because they may say no parts, but you could then say, has there been anything that's been easier to manage than you anticipated during the pandemic? And then they'll say, oh yeah, okay, well maybe this piece of it I thought would be much harder. But they may still come back and say, no, it's all been equally hard. Do you feel COVID-19 connected you closer to your students? Do you feel as if the pandemic has connected you closer with your peers, staff? Do you feel, do you know or feel if your peers, staff are going through similar situations? Has the pandemic impacted your grading style? If you could change, if you were in charge and could change one thing about how you educate during this pandemic, what would it be? I think those are all pretty good. I didn't catch anything, maybe some phrasing and how you're asking, but overall, I did not sense that was like that was not that I didn't sense anything that went out of bounds. So I'm going to take a look at the rest of these offline. I think overall you're in the right spot. I just mainly want to make sure that you're going back and fixing that Calendly issue, because I don't want you to be in a situation where people are abusing your time. Okay? And it's not that they would specifically try to abuse your time. It's just that when you leave that window out there, it's going to happen. Okay? Okay, folks, that is going to wrap it up for today's edition of the Feedback Loop. So let's roll through it. Bryn, just a little extra work on kind of understanding what could happen with that typography if you got more of it. Like, would you still utilize the sizes that you're using? What happens with space? It seems like there's a struggle with, like, some spaces you're okay, other spaces it gets a little weird. And this is really where just practice comes in, okay? Just having more practice. Eve affinity mapping. I thought that was all just really, really well processed. You've got the steps down. You've got your priority set. Full speed ahead there. Abby, great personas. I need more detail on the user stories. This is common. But ask yourself, what needs to exist for this user story to function? And then Eddie, fix the Calendly. Make sure that you connect some method of web conferencing to that, and then I think your user story script is pretty much spot on. Once you get that Calendly out, then it's time to jump back into UI, because this is where you have the flex. But I don't want you like setting in UI through the 19th. When these user interviews could be going on and you could have those behind you. So make sure to adjust that. Calendly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today's edition of the Feedback Loop. So great to have everybody riding along. Thank you to Eve. Thank you to Bren. Thank you to Abby. Thank you to Eddie. Thank you to Maddie offline. And for the rest of you, I'm going to see a few of you later today. For everybody else, I hope to see you tomorrow. Take care.